morning. Our business idea is My Sous Shop. I'm the CEO, Max Branson.
I'm the CFO, R.F. Green.
I'm the CMO, Mike Pinkerton.
Do you ever come home and get tired looking in the fridge and not having enough time to prepare a meal? Are you ever tired of going grocery shopping and spending over $400 only for some of the food to go to waste? And do you lack the creativity to be able to whip together a meal with the ingredients already in hand? The three problems that we're focusing on are time, cost, and creativity. For time, we focus on short time situations where you have to whip together a meal after coming home from work, school, or sports. For cost, we're focusing on using up all ingredients in your fridge, even when they might go to waste usually. With creativity, we focus on being able to whip together a meal when you're with ingredients that you're not used to using or that usually go to waste, or if you're tired of having the same meals every week. Our solution is creating an app that will give you recipes for short time situations with food on hand. This creates zero waste with your leftover ingredients, and it gives you the creativity to always have a meal ready for that day.
Alright, so this is what we have collected from our 41 interview results. And so we surveyed people on how creative they are in the kitchen, and 57.7% of people said that they are not very creative in the kitchen when it comes to finding new things to make using new ingredients for their recipes. And then 42.3% said that they are. And then we asked people also, how much do people waste their groceries? Came back as only 23.1% that they said that they had no waste at all in their kitchens. And then 76.9% said that they tried to limit waste, but eventually it all just kind of fell through and they ended up wasting food. And then, do people have more or less than 1 hour to prep? And 41.7% said that they had more, and 58.3% said less. So this shows that most people aren't having as much time to prepare meals and cook for themselves. And then, who are our customer segments? We're looking for people 18 to 65 years old, have or want to cook for themselves, want diversity in their meals, they want to change it up, create different things, not be boring. People who are health conscious about their goals, whether it's weightlifting, sports performance, or anything kind of like that. They're looking to limit their food waste by buying only what they need and using all the ingredients that are in their fridge for their recipes. And then looking to limit spending on groceries, so keep the cost down and use up everything you have to get the most out of your money. Short on time, they don't have much time to cook, they don't have much time to look for recipes or anything like that. They just need the extra hand to help them with that kind of stuff. And then lacking of cooking knowledge and creativity, so their meals oftentimes are repetitive, they get boring, they want to change it up, and they want to make something new.
Our TAM stands so our TAM is in the United States. So we found that 2/3 of adults in America use recipes at least once a week, and 10% use it daily. And then about 40% of the same Americans use health and tracking apps for tracking their calories, macros, etc. So our total addressable market is 130 million. For our SAM, which is in Illinois, we estimate, using the same formulas as above, that around 4.2 million use health and tracking apps and recipes. And then for our SOM, which is in DT11, which is areas of Schaumburg, Ballotine, and Hoffman, in our demographic, we estimate there's about 99,000 adults in our demographic, and using the same recipes as above, we estimate about 39,64,000 use health and tracking apps and recipes. our competition analysis. So we have two direct, which is MyFitnessPal and MyPlate by Livestrong, and one indirect with HelloFresh, which is a meal delivery service. So all of them have calorie counting and nutrient tracking features. My Sous Chef, MyFitnessPal, and HelloFresh are the only ones with recipe creation based on personalization, like time or active health goals that you have. My Sous Chef is the only one with a grocery feature, so you can add what you got from the store, and you can so you know what you're buying and don't overspend on simple groceries. So my Sous Chef and My Plate by Livestrong have community features, so you can connect with others with the same goals of losing weight or same interest of food. And then My Sous Chef is the only one that can generate recipes based on food you have on hand, like extra food from meals before.
Our UVP is My Sous Chef will be your personal kitchen assistant, simplifying meal prep with smart recipes tailored to what's in your pantry. It saves time and cuts grocery costs and helps you stay on track with built-in calorie, macro, and micronutrient tracking, making nutritious eating effortless and accessible.
Alright, so how are we going to market and advertise this company? So we would utilize social media. It's kind of like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, and promote it, make a page, and yeah. And then we would also use Wix to create a website where people could search it in their browsers and they could pull it up, see what we're all about. And then they could also find us on the App Store once we have our app created, along with using the word of mouth, using our slogan, Fuel Your Life, just talking about it. People will see the differences between like MyFitnessPal and all that kind of stuff. And then hopefully we're looking for a influencer partnership to promote our product to the people who follow that.
Our revenue plan. So as an app, we're going to be making that revenue through the app. So we plan to have two versions, a free version and a premium version. So for a free version, it's going to be free, and we're going to offer an option to purchase exclusive content like recipes or cookbooks on it as an extra way to make revenue. The free version will have ads and no access to exclusive features. The premium version, we are thinking about having a subscription model between $7 and $15 a month, or a yearly purchase of $80 to $150. We're also going to offer the same option to purchase exclusive content. The premium version will have no ads and access to any exclusive features that we offer. Our ask. So we want $350 for a UI, which is a design that is focused on creating the visual and interactive elements of a digital product, which will be our app. We want $70 for UI feedback tools, like Usability Hub, where we can put it on their website and many users are going to use it, and give us feedback on it. And based on the feedback we get, we're going to spend $50 on Adalo. It's like a platform which uses blocks instead of coding, since we don't have much coding knowledge, to help code our app, like start it. I want $30 for social media advertising to get our UI out, to see how people like it and if I need feedback on it so we can improve it throughout the year.
So here's an example of the model map of our app. The home page will have a new button and or a browse feature where you could then select ingredients that you have on hand. So if you have chicken or lettuce in your fridge, you can go ahead and click that, and then it would then tell you to select your appliances. So if you have the stove available or the oven available, then you could select how much time you have, and then it would then give you a recipe list where you'd be able to choose what recipe you want for that meal. On a separate page, we will have the calorie tracking, which would have a calorie counter. It would also have body info and fitness goals that you could input into there. And then there would also be an easy way to go from adding a meal that you just made and just adding that straight in, as well as adding certain foods straight in. And then on the far side, we have My Pantry, where you can add to what's usually always in your pantry or just what's coming in. So if you just went to the store, you can scan in all your food and send it to your My Pantry. You can also create a shopping list. And then this is where you would also be able to select your own appliances. That way it has a knowledge of what appliances you have. And then over here, where you can select appliances, that's what you're looking to use for that meal. Then you would also be able to add in diet restrictions. So if you're vegan, vegetarian, or like lactose intolerant. And you would also be able to save recipes and share recipes with others. Then we also have future ideas, which is implementing AI and having a recipe social media. Thank you.
Yeah, I can start. Well, I think this is something that people would definitely value because I do think it's a common thing that people face. And so I like the thinking and the complexity that you have in terms of the different things that the app can do. If you could go back to the slide that talks about who your customer is, because I feel like that slide starts to, customer segments. That starts to get at, like it's a way of looking at the functionality. So my question is, how, like, as you're building this out, I also believe when you're testing and stuff that you're gonna need to prioritize your functionality. You've got a big map, but you may wanna start testing in segments. So looking at what's on here and the research that you did, so I have like also a question within, because you said 41 interviews, so once I finish, if you could tell me how many people you interviewed, how many you surveyed. How would you prioritize the things on the list based on what you heard from customers? Like, what's most important for them to get out of your app to start with?
Sure. So we did 41 interviews, and that's in-person interviews.
Great, that's good.
Yeah, and then from those, we learned that we're going to try to focus mostly on the recipe side of it, and maybe the calorie side will come later down the road. Because it might be too much to try to throw all together at the start of this. So a lot of customers definitely were talking about being short on time when they come home from work and looking to make a meal after work or school. And then they were, a lot of times, didn't want to throw away their extra food. So that was the cost, because a lot of times you go to the grocery store and you buy your food for the week, and sometimes you don't use some leftovers or you don't get around to it and it ends up going to waste. And then the last one was the creativity, where a lot of people lack the skill to actually be able to whip together something with just their ingredients lying around that maybe they usually don't put together. So that's what we would be focusing on there, would be trying to get a page of recipes to be able to go with certain ingredients that are on hand, and that would probably be an early version of the app there.
No, that's great, because then that's kind of even your minimal viable product, right? Just like, let's get this part of the functionality working. So I'll let you, and then I might come back to another question or two.
Yeah, I would just be one of my questions. I appreciate your roadmap. I think that's very great. I think it's great to have that map of kind of where you see this going, but I do agree with maybe narrowing that focus a little bit on something like the recipes which you guys discussed. Who exactly did you interview? Who were these people?
So, do you want to go to that?
Yeah, so the people that we interviewed was a lot of adults in the building. We interviewed a lot of like kids in sports and that kind of stuff who like focus on their sport, want to go to college for it, and like that kind of stuff. And then I also went to Northern Michigan University like a month ago or something like that. And I interviewed some college kids who had their own apartments and their own like houses and that kind of stuff. And a lot of them said that like they didn't know what to buy because they didn't know what to make. So I feel like we could help that a lot. and we go around for all that. So it was mainly adults in the building, with or without kids, college students, where we get the 18 years old, and then just kids who are focused on what they do.
Okay, good. And I will say that this is definitely a problem in my household. It's one of the things that my wife and I, you know, discuss all the time is we tend to waste a lot of food in our refrigerator, things we do not use. But from a inventory perspective, do you guys envision this being where you go to the grocery store, you take your phone out, and you like scan the products that are in your pantry, and then there's an inventory on your phone, and then you're able to then say, hey, you know, based on what I have in my pantry, you know, what recipes exist online that would allow me to use these current ingredients? And then what about the food that is left in your fridge? If you have a little bowl of or package of lettuce, how does it know? How will it know how much ingredients you have left in your? Is this you keeping? Like, say I scan this can of olives in my refrigerator. I go, I have a can of olives. I use half of it, and then will it know then, you know, that I have a half a can still left in the refrigerator to use in something?
Yeah, so the goal for us is to develop a way where we can take a picture of certain, like the food that you have, and it will just take that right in, and that would then go into the My Pantry, so what you have available. And then kind of what I was talking about, the new versus the browse, if you wanted to like do specific things that you have, you could just take a picture of what's there, versus the My Pantry would be what's already like still in the app from last time you put that in. And then as far as knowing if there's like a half a jar of olives, we haven't completely figured that out, but we definitely want to be able to have recipes that can incorporate like pieces of like a half a bag of lettuce or like a leftover meal that would then be able to create that into a new meal.
That's where I kind of see like maybe two slightly different problems. It's what do we have in terms of like full ingredients in our pantry versus like what do I have left over that's still in the refrigerator that I don't want to go to waste and I want to use up.
Right.
So I see those as kind of maybe two slightly different
Yeah,
problems that we
well,
have to kind of figure out maybe which one we're going to focus on at the beginning so that we, you know.
sure. Probably in the beginning, we're gonna have to focus on full ingredients, but definitely we do want to be able to do like half ingredients, because I mean, if you think of like if you're gonna make some tacos, you probably don't need a whole bag of lettuce. You only need a little bit just to, you know, sprinkle on top. So I think there's definitely recipes that call for less of something. So we're gonna have to figure out how we can do that down the line.
You guys did a nice job.
Yeah, great job. As far as data, one of the things that I don't see on here is really the data storage or the aspect of the data environment. And when you build an app, you got to be able to store whatever that intel is, and then you have the authentications on that side. So have you given any thought to the data side and how that's going to be handled, whether it's, and I'm going to speak in geek, Azure, or some sort of Amazon warehouse, data warehouse? I would just encourage you to put that in your plan.
Sure.
It's not something that I'm asking, hey, have you given that thought? Just put, or do a little research for the next, your final pitch, to include some sort of data component, because that's pretty much the back end of what you guys are doing. And then one thing, while time is something you've mentioned, estimated time of prep would be something that I would be looking at if I had the app. Is okay, I've got 20 minutes, I've got this stuff, what can I make? At my house, my kids, got 5 of them. If I'm making food, they know it's going to be Tim's Classic Italian. It's chicken, pasta, and then broccoli. That's it. We had it last night. That's it. That's all I can make. That's all I got. 25 minutes. Tim's Classic Italian.
Yeah, so that's what kind of what we were talking about, with the time aspect where you could then input how much time, if you had 25 minutes, then it
Okay.
would give recipes that were quicker
No, I love it.
versus,
That's
so
great.
maybe you would use an air fryer instead of the oven or something like that.
Cool, great job.
But I really do like your 3 points of time, cost, and creativity. I think those are spot on. I mean, time is valuable for people, and if you have a family and, you know, come home from work, whatever, not a lot of time to figure stuff out, especially now where costs are generally higher right now. And I think people are a little more conscious about not wasting food and taking advantage of what they have in the pantry, because they, you know, can't afford like they used to be able to go out there and just keep spending. So I think that's a great one too. And the creativity aspect I like as well, because, you know, again, not all of us are chefs, right?
Right.
And so for us to be able to think of a creative way to use our ingredients, and not do the same thing every single day, you know, might be might be a smart thing to do.
One last question, guys,
Yeah.
if you want one. Yep.
Anyone last question?
I just had 2 quick comments, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
So my last question, I think this is where my lack of technology experience, I have not concerns, but I'm not sure of the complexity of an MVP where you are actually building a functional app.
Yeah.
I think that might be complex, so I think we can have no discussion about this after this, but what is the easiest and simplest way to test and validate this concept without necessarily having to spend a ton of money building an app that like functions? Is there another way we can do this by keeping track of our inventory, whether it be manually or whatever, that might be able to more easily give us the data we're looking for to validate this concept without having to put together a functioning app? It seems pretty complex to me to build for, you know, $350.
Yeah,
No.
so I'll pass that to him, because, yeah, go ahead.
So right now we're creating UI, which is like a design platform, so it's gonna have the look of what we're going for in the app, so it's not the app exactly. So it's gonna have some functionality to it, so you press it and then it's gonna show the options. But right now, I won't like generate recipes, we just, like, you press on it, it's gonna give you recipes based on, like, it would show you recipes, but it's not gonna be actual recipes. So it's gonna be like this, it's like a design, so you see the pages and you'll see with the browse, like, some, like, websites, like, recipes we have on there. And then they're gonna have buttons to share, but it's not gonna actually work yet, because it's with code.
We'd have to find ways to validate whether this is saving time, saving money, and allowing creativity. Those are ways to really figure out exactly the process.
Yeah.
A recommendation I would make is use PowerPoint. It'll be the cheapest way, and then the links, you just jump to pages. It's a really.
Prototyping.
Yeah, it's
way to
just a
prototype.
prototype.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to prototype for now,
Okay,
from my perspective.
thank you.
Yeah, so I think, so a couple comments, is be clear on your path for testing and what you want to get out of the test. I think as you refine this, it's going to be important to distinguish the free version versus the paid, because that wasn't completely clear to me. And the other quick thing I have, I'll give the feedback sheet. Include quotes from your interviews to help punch up your message. You know, that's like for the future. Because if you go back to the survey, you could say 70% of people feel they waste food. Well, do people even care that they waste food? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, if they don't care, then what's your product solving? So those are just a couple of quick points. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job, guys.
Good job.